All right, here's Lance Oppenheim. Bill, you got questions about the movie or whatever, or comments, and so we'll bring him up here and see what he's got to say. Here's Lance, the next Scorsese of Hollywood.
Hello. Wow. Thank you. That's very, very kind words that are completely undeserved. And your son, amazing musician, I must say.
I think he can make a living at it.
I think he's pretty damn good. Now you're asking why I was interested in putting you in the film. I feel like I should have gotten your whole family. I missed a few Smiths out there.
Okay, I'm going to get to the obvious questions that people have sent me. These are not my questions because, well, I'll give you a choice. Do you want questions from my audience, or do you want some questions from me first?
Wow. Let's go with you first. I'm open to all things. Melody, if you have any questions, if anyone's got any questions, let's go to town. Let's party. And thank you for having me on. Also, I appreciate it. As you know, I reached out to you because I saw your YouTube channel and I was looking at all the videos you were uploading of, I think it was construction in the new areas, and I was like, who is this guy and what is he doing? He's spending a lot of time building a pretty sizable following here. So it's all come full circle. I very much appreciate you having me on.
Can I proceed now?
Give me another round of applause.
I watched one of your interviews with a guy that I thought was kind of funny, and one of his comments to you was, there was an email from somebody, I didn't quite catch all this, where he said that you were doing a disservice to yourself because it was taking you way too long to answer answers.
He probably, he's not wrong. I I stammer a lot. I think he was correcting me. I could use his help. If anyone is a good public speaker, I could have used it, and I could use it now as well.
Don't ask me because I ramble. Ask all these girls; they'll tell you I get to rambling, and sometimes I'll go through 3 and 4 subjects before I shut up.
Questions.
The one question he said, this is my questions. One question I've got is, in the very first part of the show, when you were talking to, what was her name? I want to say Barb.
Barbara.
The widow?
Barbara Lochiado, yes.
Okay. Her dog started humping the cat. Whose decision was it to leave that scene in and say, we got to cut that out?
I think I would have cut it out if she wasn't happy with it. But the expression of joy on her face and the mixture of her expressing a very intense emotional reaction to what was going on in her life, her husband's death, she wasn't having the greatest time in the Villages, and then right as she was literally, it's almost like I couldn't have directed. I don't know if there are any animal wranglers in the world who could have, made that timing land. But I just thought it was this kind of magical moment, and she was, the expression, the hysterical laughter that was on her face. I showed her the clip afterwards while we were contemplating about putting in the film, and she was like, "You got to put that in." And I remember showing it to Dennis and Reggie and Anne. And that always kind of brought the house down, because it wasn't like you were laughing at her, you were laughing with her, and you're laughing with her animals. So I thought it was a nice little moment that I wanted to throw in there.
I liked it. I mean, I thought it was a great idea to leave it in.
Another question I had, and I don't know if anybody brought it up, at the very beginning of the movie, after the dog got done humping the cat, and then it goes on to these other scenes. She goes out to the kitchen. I think it was a kitchen. It was hard to tell, but I think it was a kitchen. And she starts flipping pages on calendars. And then they backed up for the whole scene. She had 6 calendars across the wall. And I was just looking at that going, why?
She's got a fascinating, I mean, there are a lot of little details like that I wanted to pepper in. I mean, obviously this is something that she has in her house. And I remember just thinking the same question, why? And, I do have an interview with her where she explains why she has those calendars. I think, she like many people who are going through a really difficult situation when you lose your spouse. I mean, a lot of belongings she still has in her house belong to her late husbands, and she just can't. It's been hard for her to get rid of a lot of stuff. I think she also has this fascination with time and specifically time that she, where she wasn't able to do the things she wanted to do. I think those calendars kind of a reminder to like make her go out in the world and do things. And but anyway, I mean, I didn't want to. There are a lot of little tiny things in the movie. Obviously there were moments where I'm like, "Huh, what is that?" And I wanted to make sure I got it in the texture of the film, but I didn't want to spell things out. So you're a very insightful viewer, Skip. And I have a whole. There's a whole range of I don't know if you've seen in Star Wars, it's in the new Star Wars. You've seen that, right? The guy. It's in the Mandalorian. There's a guy using his cell phone. I guess the editors didn't see him, and it's completely anachronistic. Yeah, it's there's a lot of little details like that.
Or to watch a Roman movie about the crucifixion. I'm not making fun of but and then you look in the sky and you see like a jet streak going across the sky. I've seen that.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, you'd be surprised. There's a whole lot of that stuff.
Dennis, the guy that lived in the van. I know you probably got a lot of questions about this guy, right? Because he was like the weirdest character of all of them. Matter of fact, speaking of that, out of all the three characters, and it seems how you called me, how would you rank me as a character to Dennis?
You would have been the strangest of them all, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Well, look, I think I think it's easy to look at these stories and look at all the ways in which these folks are different from you, and even from myself, given that I'm much younger than them. But I actually think a lot of the things they're going through are fairly universal, I think, and actually have a lot to say, not just about the uniqueness of their situations and maybe how unique or strange one would find Dennis. I think a lot of the things he's thinking about and is on the things that are on his mind: comfort, freedom, companionship, self-sacrifice. How much do you want to give up of your freedom to be comfortable with someone? I think those are things that I think are quite interesting, and I think we all think about it one time or another. So it wasn't like I was just looking for like a rogues gallery of the most strange people I could find. The people in the film are the people I happen to, I think, just understand and get along with the most.
Why does such a young fella like you show so much interest in people that old?
I don't know. I mean, well, look, I think there's a lot. I think it's a very sad thing that has happened, to our country, where I really do feel like the opportunities for people like me, for kind of intergenerational connection to happen, they don't happen as frequently anymore. I think, the only times I've really been able to hang out with, folks that were much older than me is when I would go around my grandparents' retirement community in Delray. And over time, most of their friends passed away, and they're quite older now. I think what drew me to the Villages specifically was I was fascinated. I'm from Florida, and I normally live in Florida outside of the outside of the pandemic time. And I was fascinated that this was a place that had become the fastest, one of the fastest growing cities in the country. As all this stuff, it's the largest retirement community in the country, and it's a place that I was fascinated in the Disney, the Disney World for retirees. The idea that folks were moving to a place like the Villages to have fun, and so I think this interest of that was what kind of compelled me to go in the first place, was just this fascination. I wanted to see the place up close for my own interest, my own curiosity. And then I've seen some folks who aren't a fan of the film, and maybe they haven't even seen the film yet, who call it like a New York Times hatchet job or something. I mean, the New York Times wasn't on this film until I was well into production. I mean, I started this film alone. This was my college thesis. I went with 3 of my best friends and my sister. I mean, it kind of get like, but people call this like a Hollywood liberal hit job or something. I mean, it couldn't be more further from the case. I mean, I think I happened to, the people who I ended up bringing on to the project later on saw the potential and what it could be. But, this is not a film that delves into, all the stereotypes you hear about the Villages. It's a movie about people. So I found it quite interesting, that kind of the lines of thinking that people think I had this larger agenda in place to make the villages look bad or something. That was not what I was interested in doing.
Well, I think that's what a lot of people think, but
Yeah.
I didn't know. I heard so much rumors from one side to the other, and they were so different that I thought, I'm going to watch the movie. That's just where I am. That settles it for me. I'm going to watch the movie and see what it is. Because they did a book years ago. It was called Leisureville. And that was really controversial about some of the things that was said in there. Anyway, I thought it was a good movie, and I thought it was basically about life events that happen when you're older, and it's going to happen to all of us. And these are people just trying to figure it out as they go along and try to fit in. I mean, I could put myself in their shoes. If my wife was passed away tomorrow, I'm not sure I could even go to the grocery store and buy crap. Matter of fact, I've done a video and proved that. I cannot go to the grocery store and buy anything. One of the things that was in the movie, and I know a lot of things come across differently, but when Dennis was at the end of his rope, and I think he was getting some kind of advice from a preacher of some kind.
Yes, Pastor Norman Lee Schaefer from the Garden Worship Center. Yeah.
And he was talking to him, and the guy was giving him sound advice about his life and how to change it. And then they pray and blah, blah, blah. And in that conversation, he says, nobody wants to be left alone, especially when they're 81. And I caught on to that, and I never thought anything about it. Then, like the very next scene, Dennis goes to this house where he's staying. He picks up the phone and calls his mother. Good Lord, how old is she?
She just passed away, believe it or not. Her name was Gladys Sheneman, if you want to look it up, so you can know that that she in fact was real and alive. She passed away. I think she was 108 years old.
Wow.
Kind of unbelievable, honestly. I spoke with her on the phone. I mean, she was as sharp as a tack. It was just it's funny to me because Dennis, throughout the entirety of the film, and really a lot of the time I spent with him, I think he probably would have been more successful in his venture of trying to find someone to live with if he say what you will about him, but the only person he lies to in the film is his mother. And this was an interesting kind of part of the process. I mean, for one, I guess it's funny that you never, some things never really do change. And even though he's 82 years old, he is still kind of acting as if he's in his early 20s or his late teens. But one of the interesting parts of the process is we actually, because the New York Times is involved in the film, we had to fact check the movie, and we had to, anytime someone says something with authority that they believe in the film is also, taking a similar line of thought that this is going, this is a fact. We had to fact check all of Dennis's passages where he's talking about how he worked for, he did work on President Ford's house as well as Dick's mother's, and he, list of people that he's referring to. And it turns out that most of that stuff is actually real, which was kind of fascinating to me. So I imagine he probably would be more successful in his ambition of finding someone to live with if he probably lied more than he actually does, because I think most times he tells people the truth, that he's living out of his van, he needs a place to live with. Can I move into your house for 5 weeks, 6 months, whatever, is what he says to one person. I'm just like, what? Yeah. What? That's a big ask.
I like the little business card that he made up.
Oh my God. Yeah, me too. I wish you guys could see it. I wish I still had one.
Okay. I just think that if you handed that to any woman right away, you'd have to know, right?
Oh my God. Celebrity handyman and personal companion for hire.
Well, Lance, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to come and visit some little channel like mine. And talk with me.
No. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Number 100 on the scale of 100 for this. That's okay. I won't forgive you the rest of my life.
You're number one in my heart, Skip.
Yeah, that's what my wife says too. Right before she takes you to divorce court and cuts it out.
It was a pleasure to talk to you guys. Thank you so much. And if anyone hasn't seen the film, it's available on Amazon and all those places.
Yeah, say before you leave, and then you can plug your movie wherever it's at. Amazon's where I got it. I don't know where else it is.
Yeah, Amazon, iTunes.
For a young man to do what you're doing, and I know this isn't your first one because I dug back into it where you did some college material and some other stuff with some college buds and this and that. That I see a bright future for you. Just keep it up.
Thank you. I hope to keep going. And I very much appreciate you guys supporting the film and having me on. All right,
Have a good
guys.
day.
Have a wonderful rest of your night. Take
Bye.
care.
You tell
See you.
Winslow I said hi.
I will. I'll give him a kiss for you.
All right. See you later, bud.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Hey, pretty good guy, don't you think?
Oh yeah.